Welcome to episode 46 of the 24-Hour Hustle Show, and today we got special guest, creator and daily vlogger, Declan Wilson. Welcome to the 24-Hour Hustle Show. I'm your host, Anthony Freeze, and this is the show where we get to sit down with amazing, accomplished guests and find out all about their 24 hours and get a chance to share their stories, their struggles, and also their success. If this is the very first time you are finding out about us, definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you can get these notifications every single time we post. But today we got special guest Declan Wilson on. Been able to follow a lot of the things that you've been doing. Actually, first time I encountered you was actually when Aaron Watson was on the show.
That's right.
And he also has a vlog, and he puts out a lot of content up on YouTube and social media in general. And one of the first episodes that I seen that he was doing in the beginning, you were actually on.
Yeah.
We're actually able to help him and
Yes.
things like that. And I think in that episode, you got a chance to tell, like, you want to start up this daily vlog and things like that. And I was like, man, there's actually somebody in Pittsburgh going to, try to take on this big task of creating a daily vlog.
Yes.
So headed over to your channel. Got a chance to see some of the things you're doing. I think at that time you may have been at episode maybe like 40, 50
Probably
or something
early
like
on,
that.
yeah.
And now we're like around, I think you said like 151 or something.
Yeah, today's 152.
That is amazing. So you're definitely cranking them out. I definitely want to pick your brain on doing the daily vlog, some vlogging tips, maybe camera work, and talk about your family and things like that, because you feature them on the vlog a lot. So definitely want to get on to that. But definitely, I'm glad to have you on. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah.
Especially with all the cameras and nice lights. I'm like, this is. I appreciate the setup.
No problem. Yeah, we do this all for you.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
So, for people who may not know who you are yet, kind of just give us your background and, some of the things that may have inspired you to get to this point.
Yeah, well, where do you want to start? So I am daily vlogging now, but even to get to this point, last summer, I left my full-time job. I had a career as a supply chain analyst, and I didn't quite enjoy all that. I didn't quite enjoy corporate world. I've always considered myself a creative, and even when I was working, I always had something on the side, like a blog or a podcast, or so. I was always trying to do something outside of my traditional career. And then last year came along, and I was at the point where I had some freelancing clients lined up. My wife was in pharmacy school. She had just graduated. She landed a residency job, which is like, she's a pharmacist, but still in extra training. So she was going to start bringing in some income. So we looked at our finances. We're like, okay, well, you're going to be bringing in about 2/3 of what I'm bringing in. I can just fill in the gap, the 1/3, and then we'll be fine. So I left my career and just set out at once and just started hustling, just trying to do what I can. And it was when I left, I bought a camera because I just had this idea of documenting my journey of going from a full-time 9-to-5 traditional cubicle job and venturing out on my own and trying to make it out on my own. And through all that, I just fell in love with vlogging. It's a very specific genre. It's kind of like documentary, but also a bit of storytelling, a bit of creativity, and I just fell in love with it. And it was around September of last year that I had this idea of doing a daily vlog, and obviously I haven't been doing it since September. My wife's had some hesitations, as she was right, and I just had this idea of trying to do it every single day, and I didn't really have any motivation other than I knew if I could stick to something every single day, then over time I would have to get better at it. And at the end of that time frame, whatever that would be, I would have a new skill set. I would have maybe new opportunities, we got to meet through this. My theory was, if I stuck to something for consistently time and time again, day after day, that I would get better and there would be more opportunities available. I didn't start in September. So like it was an idea. It was like this seed. And if people who know me know that I get an idea and I just jump into it. I really don't think it through.
I feel like most of us do.
Yeah,
us creators.
Yeah, as creators, I have an idea. Oh, I got to run with it. I got to do that. And luckily, my wife was like, "No, that's a big endeavor. That's like a big like family commitment, you know." And I mean, good thing she said that. So I mulled it over for months and ended up going to actually Aaron's conference. He did the Going Deep Summit, and went to that conference and just hearing all the speakers. And at the time, to kind of like, I know I'm mixing up timelines, but I was still trying to grow my business, right? But my business, I was just a freelancer. I thought I was running a business, but I just had a couple of clients. And then starting in January, I had lost all of them. And it was just like, so I was going into this conference just like beat, like down. I was like, what am I doing? Was this a big mistake? So my focus was like, how do I make money so our family can survive? But I was at this conference and hearing all these speakers and they're just giving so much like good motivational stuff. All I can think about was the vlog. It came back. Even though my focus needed to be like, how do I grow a business? How do I find more clients? How do I, secure our family's future? All I kept thinking about was the vlog still. And so I met with Aaron afterwards. I wanted to pick his brain, and he kind of gave me the same idea of looking at, the downside of starting a daily vlog is very low. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And I realized, I'm like, what's the worst that can happen starting a daily vlog? No one watches it. Like, that's not the worst thing, right? But the upside, there's so much potential. And when I thought about that, I was like, okay, I think I can do that. And so I wanted to start on a significant date. I started on my birthday, my 28th birthday. So I had to be a little bit patient. Okay. So I had to wait till April to actually launch it. And I was like, okay, 28, that's a good year because that's 10 years as an adult, right? And so I was like, this is the first time I'm doing something big with my life. And so on April 10th, hit record and just have been doing it every day since.
That is amazing. Yeah. That is absolutely amazing. That the journey that you've been on and then in the trajectory that you're on is continuing to doing it. And I have no doubt that you're going to be able to complete all of them doing it in a year. So and that'll be here before you know it, because I'm pretty sure it felt like just yesterday you just started.
It does. Like I think this week we hit 150, and I even mentioned, it just feels like I'm just getting started. It does not feel like 150 days worth of work. It just feels like I'm still learning. I still have so much more to go, which I don't know where I'm going, but there's still a long way there.
Right. Yeah. So as a creator, like, what inspired you to get into maybe this line of work of creating and doing the agency and things like that? What kind of got you to this point, and maybe what were some of the motivating factors?
Ever since I was little, like I was. In middle school, I loved art class. I loved drawing and doing all that kind of stuff. And then once I went into high school, I had to drop all those classes and focus more on like practical engineering, math, science classes. And so I lost that side of me. And so I went into high school kind of with that mindset of like, okay, I need to pick a practical career path, because there was no path as an artist, as a creator. There was no YouTubers in high school. Like, that wasn't even a thing then. And so I was like, okay, I'll just pick the most practical thing. Went to college for that, but I've always had that itch, that creative desire to express myself, I guess. And I was into filmmaking. Like in high school, I had like a little camera, and my friends and I would make little sketch videos, and it was fun. I definitely had I wouldn't call it a passion, but definitely an interest in video making. But at the time, like as a college student, I didn't have money for like equipment. Like back then, they didn't have nice DSLR cameras. Like, if you wanted to make a movie, you couldn't do it as a college kid unless you could find some equipment somewhere. Right. And I just didn't have those connections in my engineering circle, so it kind of fell to the wayside. Like I moved on from making videos to actually writing, getting into blogging, getting into podcasting. Like I said, I always had something else to I guess tickle that creative side, right? Yeah. But let's see. I'm trying to think what kind of like sparked that whole interest. I think stumbling across Casey Neistat, who's like the king of YouTube. He really championed the daily vlog. I mean, before daily vlogs were just you probably sit in front of a camera and just talk about your day, and that was it. And he took it to another level. He added, a sense of quality, a sense of entertainment, storytelling, and he did that for 534 days. 534 days. I mean, he was building a business. He had a family. Like, he was crazy. And I started following him, seeing what he did, and I'm like, I wonder if I can do something like that. And so and then by the time I left my job, I was like, I want to try this form. I don't want to just stick to blogging anymore. I want to up the game. Because as you know, like video is now the vlogs. Like if you look back in 2004 to 2010, like blogs were you go on the internet, you're reading blogs. People's attention has shifted. It's all text, or it's all visual now. And so video is very important. And so I realized that, and I was like, well, maybe I can try to get back into that and try to build up those skill sets, learn something, because maybe in 3-5 years I might be at a point where I can turn that into my new career, because that's essentially what I'm doing. I left my old career. What am I going to do now? Because I'm only 28.
We're still young. Yeah, we were talking about this before. We're still super young.
Very young. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I just start with something that interests me, and there's just the video work.
Yeah, and I really like Casey's work too. There's someone else that I also like that does work similar to us, like Peter McKinnon.
Well, Peter McKinnon, yeah, he does another one. Yeah,
he does a lot of good work. Yep. I mean, I don't think he vlogs like all the time, but he puts out a lot of content constantly.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of good work. For anybody that's like into photography and want to learn how to do Photoshop and editing and that type of thing, he gives a lot of good tips, a lot of great advice on there. So that's another one that's really good as well. So for you, whenever you initially got this vlog started, what would you say was like some of the initial struggles that you faced, and how would you say you overcame those?
Oh, yeah. So when I started, so like I said, I started right after I left my job, and I just started filming everything. Because I didn't know what was important, and I had gone a month without. I had filmed a month's worth of stuff, and I was too afraid to edit, because for me, like the learning curve of opening up Adobe Premiere and trying to learn how to edit, it was too daunting and too scary. And so I finally I was like, it's been a month. I left my job a month ago. I wanted to do this vlog. Let me just start small. And so I think the first thing I made was like a tiny little trailer, like a 2-minute trailer of like what this whole vlog is going to be about. And through that, I just YouTubed a bunch of tutorials and just dove in. And for me, that's the best way for me to learn, is just to do it. And so the initial struggle was those, I guess, that fear of the learning curve, right? Like when we're presented with a new task, something that we're not familiar with, the first thing that scares us is like, how am I going to conquer this? How am I going to overcome this? Because that learning curve, that struggle that we have to go to become proficient isn't like the most enjoyable thing.
Right.
But like you probably know as well, when you're in it, it actually is kind of fun.
Oh yeah.
It is fun to learn. It's fun to like struggle through that. And so the initial struggles were, how do I edit? I think my first vlog was super long. And I was like,
how long are we talking?
I don't know. For me, it was long. It was like maybe like 17 minutes. And like, to me, that seems like long for a YouTube video, right?
Yeah. Sometimes. I mean, these are like 45 minutes.
But it's a different.
I know what you mean.
When people like want to watch a vlog, they expect it to be, nice and tidy. And so the first struggle was, learning how to edit. The next struggle was, how do you tell a story from this? How do you piece together random events from your life into a narrative that people are going to find entertaining or learn something from that? And that has been the past year, is trying to figure out, how do I take my life, in a 16:9 dimensional frame, with audio, with sound effect. How do you take all that and piece it together and tell something that people are going to respond to, that people are going to enjoy, that people are going to be excited about? And that has been the biggest thing that I've struggled with, and I'm trying to learn, and what I want to conquer through these daily vlogs.
Mm-hmm. What I'm very surprised about that you said is that you struggle with the editing, and your editing is really good. Like I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like because the graphics that you use, like whenever you announce what episode it is, that little graphic on it. Did you make that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
that looks good. Like I would have never known. Like you struggle with editing.
Just playing around with it. Yeah.
What and you made that was that in like After Effects? Or?
Yeah, no, I did it through I think Adobe Draw, so on my iPad. So I drew out my own text, like my own numbers, and then each of those are like different elements. So every episode I do, I just swap out the numbers, and then played around with different transition. It was just experimenting. Like that's how I learned. Like I had an idea in my head. I was like, when I announced the beginning of the episode, that initial bumper, I'm like, I want it to be like, I want people to know what number it is. I want people to know what they're watching and make it interesting. And I just started playing around, and that was it. And I don't know how long that took. It was just like kind of playing around. And actually, what happened was every single episode, I was doing that over and over again. Right, the first 10 or so, and it's like, this process is so hard. Like to get all the the little, because like the numbers pop up, and then it says Declan Vlog, and it has like kind of staticky stuff. I had to line up all those, throw in the effects. So what I learned how to do was to create a template, and that I just went on YouTube, like, is there a way to do this so it's not as hard every single time? Like, oh, you can do a template and just throw the template on. So that made it a lot easier. So little cheats like that, like especially with doing a daily vlog, I was like, if it's taking me 5 minutes to do that little bumper, over the course of a year, that's a lot of time. I need to find something a lot simpler to do. And so coming from that, I think doing the daily vlog has taught me how to be more efficient with my production. And yeah, especially when it comes to editing. And thank you for complimenting me. Yeah. For me, it's like I do this overnight, and so it's like really fast, and then I export, upload, and then it's on to the next one. So I don't really get a lot of I don't really get to look back and see.
You don't get a chance to actually reflect on it
and kind of learn from it.
You're doing a good job on it for sure. And like you just said, like the process, you have it down packed by now. And one of the things that, for people that may even want to get into vlogging, I'm pretty sure some of the experiences that you've had, you can definitely share maybe some good advice, maybe some good tips. So what's some maybe good advice or good tips that you may have for somebody that's trying to get into vlogging, that maybe even want to tackle doing a daily vlog? So what's your process been like cranking these out every day?
Every day, yeah. So I think if someone wants to start, the best way to start would be getting comfortable with a camera in front of you. That's always nerve-wracking. Yeah, I'm just like talking to these cameras. Having that presence in front of the camera, it's not easy. It feels weird to like talk to your phone or talk to a little camera. It feels really weird being out in public and doing that. That's still a bit uncomfortable for me, and that I'm also trying to learn, struggle through. But for someone to start off, I think even just doing like Instagram stories, crafting a little 10-second story from that, or doing Snapchat, or even doing Instagram Live or Facebook Live, just practice being in front of the camera first, and being comfortable with your camera presence. Then you can get into, you can always use your phone. You can always use I still shoot on like the little, it's over there. It's like that little Canon PowerShot. It's like this tiny little dinky thing. It works fine. It gets HD footage.
Right.
And
I would have never known you used that. Like I thought you used like a Canon DSLR or something like that.
It's pretty. I mean, it's robust for its tiny little size, like a little power.
It gets the job done.
Yeah, it gets the job done. So you don't have to get very expensive equipment, and then basically it's just, if you want to start, especially with vlogging, there's so many different niches of vlogging. There's so many different styles of vlogging. The simplest way is just document. Just start by documenting your day, picking out the interesting stuff, learning to cut out the fluff, the stuff that like you think is interesting. Maybe it's to you, but you have to think like, I'm dealing with other people's time and attention. I have to respect that. So cutting out anything that you think is like, oh, that was funny to me, but it might not be funny to other people. So you kind of like, I've had to deal with that before. Like I might have a bit, and I was like, oh, this is really funny, but people might not find it funny because it's like it's not relative to them, so I have to cut it out of the vlog. So starting with that, start learning how to document, then focus on the storytelling, then focus on how do I edit, how do I make fun, cool transitions, how do I get into sound design, how do I get into color correcting. Like once you start, the basics always is storytelling, right?
That's number one.
And then from there it's like, okay, I have the storytelling down. How do I then amplify it? How do I emphasize it? How do I make it more impactful? And that's when you get into like the special editing stuff. So yeah, you don't have to worry about editing yet.
Yeah.
Start with everything else, like the basics first.
And one of the things that you pointed out was getting comfortable in front of the camera. I think that's definitely huge. And one of the things that I'm actually just now starting to realize is that this can actually also help you in different avenues as maybe far as public speaking goes. Because if you could get comfortable in front of a camera doing a live video where you're speaking clearly, your thoughts are clear, and you're doing that consistently, that can translate into public speaking, whether you're at a networking event or connecting event. Like that can translate into a lot of different things if you do it on Facebook Live or Snapchat and Instagram, like, as you said. It can work out and develop a lot more skills. Like as you were talking, it was like that almost sounds like a college course on video.
Yeah.
Like from the editing, getting comfortable in front of the camera, to the color correction. I'm like, as you're talking, I was like, that's everything you learn in school. So it's highly beneficial.
And I didn't even go to school for this. I went to school for industrial engineering. So
Right.
it's like, I'm all self-taught. Yeah.
Right. So you're doing a really good job on it for sure. So as far as like the storytelling, one of the elements that you put in your storytelling line is your family. So it's kind of like a family vlog. So talk about that process and like the different things that you put into your vlog, your family, and including some other things that you create your adventures.
Yes, yeah. So we call it daily adventures, not daily vlogs. And so my family, I have my wife Erica, we have our 3-year-old son Henry, and we just had a baby. He's turned 2 months yesterday, 2 months old, Milo. And so I daily vlogged even through having a baby. That was tough, but we got through it. So we have a family, and when I started off, the reason why I titled it or called it the Declan vlog was because there are family vloggers out there. There are family vlogs. That is definitely a style. But I knew I wanted to think in the long run. Like these are my kids. They're not a product. They're not something that maybe down the line, if this ever grows and explodes, like I don't want to put that pressure on them that they need to be a part of this thing that I'm making. Right. I want them to be part of it, but I want them to have the freedom to then later on down the line be like, hey, Dad, I don't really want to be on the vlog as much. Can you not,
record me that much?
Yeah, exactly. Like I want to be able to respect that. So while my family is almost the center focus of the vlog many times, my main mission is to push people to make every day an adventure. And it's tough. Like I worked 5 years in that 9 to 5 in that cubicle job. It's tough to like look at every day and be like, why is this exciting? Like what's exciting about today to just stuck in traffic, to then sit 8-9 hours in a cubicle with coworkers who complain all the time, So I wanted to utilize my family, our situation, and use that as almost like a backdrop, as a way to motivate other people. Because like we don't have a traditional setup. Like my wife works, I'm the one at home with the kids, I'm building a business, I'm doing this daily vlog. Like I'm trying to show people that it is possible, that you got to cut out those excuses when people complain about life. Like that's the one thing, I hate complainers. Like if you complain to me, I don't want to hear about it. I want to like focus on what can we do right now to make today an adventure. And so the family is like obviously the center of my life. Like you asked even before we started recording, what do you want to call yourself? Like for me, it's Dad. Like I don't want you to call me Dad, but like
that'd be a little weird.
But for me, like what I identify with the most is like I'm a dad. Like I'm trying to live my life in a way that my boys will look up to me. Like that's all I hope, is that maybe one day when they're 18 going off to college, if they want to go to college, like they'll look back at this year or years, we'll see how long this goes for, and be like, wow, my dad really like worked hard to get us where we needed to be. And that's it. That's basically it. So yeah, the family is a big part of that, but I still try to be respectful of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you mentioned as far as like excuses go, I know one of the things that I've always discovered that people always say they have an excuse for is that they don't have enough time. And for you, in your situation, you could have used that as a big excuse.
Everything.
I mean, you got 2 children, one which you had during the course of recording these vlogs.
Yep.
And you still are able to pump these out.
Yep.
So for, and one of the main purposes of this show is to be able to kill excuses of time. So what are some good tips that you may have as far as the vlogging goes that you are using to maximize and be more efficient in creating these? Because like I said, you got your process down packed. So what is kind of like that process when, from start to finish, from morning to whenever you're hitting the export and then uploading it onto YouTube?
Well, I mean, even before the process, like the process, helps to save time, but it's all about priorities. Like, you need to understand what your priorities are. And mine is, I need to get a story out every day. And it has to be every day, because if it's not every day, then it won't happen. Like if this was a weekly vlog, I wouldn't have grown. I would not have been able to get this far
and grow as fast.
Yeah. And so for me, it's I need to be able to tell a story. I need to be a good father. Well, actually, that's the first one. I need to be a good father. Let's
get the priorities.
Yeah, let's prioritize. Okay, come on. Be a good father, right? Provide for my family with my business, and then like being able to tell the story. And that's it. Like that is my life: family, the work, creativity. I don't get to see my friends as often as much as I'd like to. I don't get to go out. Like I don't go out. I mean, I'm 28. I don't go out drinking and doing all sorts of stuff that I see other guys my age on Instagram doing. We don't own a TV. Like I just cut out stuff that like it's just fluff. It doesn't bring lasting joy to my life. Although we do watch Netflix. Like we're really into the Great British Baking Show, so it's like my wife and I will watch that.
Right,
like,
still get that.
That's our thing. Yeah. So I still watch Netflix. It's not like busy all day.
Right.
But the process. So I'll tell you how the process was when we started the daily vlog. Was I shot as much as I could all day, and then 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock rolled around. Kids, well, it was Henry at the time. Got him down. And I sat down on my computer and watched all the footage. I'm like, wow, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
And eventually I got to the point where I got comfortable shooting what I need. So I might only shoot 15, 20, 30 minutes of my day. And I know that's all I need, because I'm also at the same time crafting what the story will be when I sit down to edit. When I first started, I had no idea. I would just shoot and then tinker with it until I had something. That was really tough. Now I got to the point where it's like I kind of have an idea what's important, what I need, and so I'm efficient by I don't have as much footage that I need to go through. I kind of have the framework for the story lined out, and then it's just sitting down and getting it done, right, and avoiding those distractions. I'm not the best at this. Like if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you probably see that most of my tweets are after like 11:30 at night because I am like procrastinating. I don't know why. Just like going a whole day of watching kids, doing work, like your brain is shot, and it's that battle. I call it taming the beast. Like I have this beast, I need to tame it so it's something that I can share with the world, and it's a struggle. Like 11:30. I'm usually in bed, hopefully by 1:30. So it is late nights, but I've gotten more effective at shooting what I need, knowing what I need, and then being able to sit down and then also like doing these 150 times in a row, you get really fast with the editing process, and just running with it and not overthinking, just running with it, laying it out, and exporting and go, and that's it. So it's not like a sexy process. It's not like a step one, do this. It's just be efficient with what you capture, and then just stick to. And we could talk about this, but one thing I'm also trying to do is not just get comfortable with the editing process, because then I'm not growing. Like if I just find a process and stick to that, then we're going to have months of the same kind of stuff churning out. So I do try to add variety. I will try to do little montages or experiment with different editing tactics or stuff like that. So you might see that sprinkled in throughout the vlogs, and then maybe make their way more and more. But for the most part, it's just being efficient with what I have to work with. Yeah.
And how have you grown your YouTube channel over time? Because one of the things that we also went to was the Ultimate YouTube Workshop that Aaron put on. I think it was like either last month or 3 months ago. But what have you been doing, and what are maybe some good advice or tips that you maybe have picked up from that workshop, or in just the experience that you've had in growing your channel, whether it's growing your views and growing your subscribers? What are some maybe good advice that you would give for that?
The good advice is to not focus on growing, right? Like, that's been the toughest thing. Is at first I got distracted. I'll be honest. Like, you start off, you kind of hope. Actually, when I started the project, people were excited. They're like, "Oh, this is cool." So like the first couple of days, like there's so many views, people are subscribing, and then it just was like, "Oh, I don't really care anymore. This is cool. That was cool last week." Not anymore. Like, people's attention is very, very valuable, but also very fragile. Like, they can lose it very easily. And so I went through like this dip where it was like no one was showing up, no one really cared, and that was a struggle, because in your mind, you know that, like, okay, people are busy. I don't expect people to watch every single minute of these vlogs I put out or care that much, because everyone has their own life, right? Like, everyone's living their own life. They have their own worries to care about your life. But at the same time, you're still like, oh, but I wish, like, all this work I'm putting into it for nothing. And so it's taken me a while to get to the point where it's like, okay, this will grow over time because of the hard work you put into it, because over time, as I get better, as I learn more, the quality will increase. I'll become a better storyteller. It will grow eventually. You just have to be persistent and patient. If you start looking into those tactics of like, how do I title my YouTube video? How do I make the perfect thumbnail? If you get into those little gritty things, you're detracting from the story, the thing that you're trying to make. And although those things are important, and they're probably even more important for non-vloggers, so people are making, like, you have your podcast, right? Like, for you, it's worth spending that time finding the right tags, the right title, the right thumbnail, because what you're presenting is information, is something that people are searching for. They're searching for those answers. A daily vlogger is telling a story. A vlogger is telling a story, is entertaining. So you want to focus on that. That's the most thing. For you, it's finding the right audience, getting your answer in front of the people who are asking those questions. People aren't asking questions to follow a daily vlogger. It's just you stumble across like, for all the vloggers that I follow, it's because I stumbled across their work. Maybe someone recommended it to me. I was like, oh, I'll go check this out, and then just fell in love with their work. So if you are considering doing vlogging, focus on the work, focus on the story, the quality. If you're using YouTube for other means, then there are those tactics, the tags, the SEO, all that kind of stuff. Now, I did do an experiment once, so like, I'll give you a little bit behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So the Century 3 Mall, right? Is closed or is closing.
Yeah, I think they may have already closed. I'm not 100% sure, but if they're not closed, they're probably going to.
I think it was like in May, I got wind that weekend was the final weekend it was open. And I had this idea in my mind. I was like, okay, it's going to be closing. It's probably going to be on the news. People are probably going to be searching for it. I was like, what if I do a video about Century 3 Mall? Like, we go to it, because it's a dead mall. It's like, it was kind of cool. So I called up my one friend. We drove to Century 3 Mall. We shot a video there. I spent more time. I spent a good amount of time editing that one, because I wanted it to be really, really good. And then I did little keyword searches. I'm like, okay, how do I phrase it? What do I do? So I titled it a certain way. I used certain tags, and sure enough, that's been the most popular vlog, because people were searching for it. Like, and it tailed off. Like, like, you saw a big spike, and then, like, not as much interest. So it is possible. It is possible to do that tactic. Like, if you're vlogging, to be like, okay, there's a concert or there's an event or there's things that people are going to be searching for or interested in. And you can certainly go after that. And I've, like I said, I did experiment with the Century 3 Mall. I've done a couple other little things, and with some success, some failure. But again, it's all about the quality. It's all about the work that you're presenting to the world. Because again, you're dealing with people's time and attention. Like, we don't get this time back.
Right.
So when I put out a 6-minute vlog, I think like someone is going to sit with their phone or on their laptop 6 minutes of their day watching this story. I hope they get something out of it. Like, I hope it's worth their time. And if it's worth their time, they might subscribe, they might share it. That's how you grow, by your work. So my channel is growing slowly. Like, it's a slow grow, but I know that I have to just keep being persistent, being patient. And then the final tactic, and this is what I've seen work best with vloggers, is the collaborations, is finding other vloggers in your niche who command that kind of like authority. So a really good example is a vlogger in Harrisburg, so not too far from here, Cody Wayner. Great, he's a daily vlogger too. He's been doing it since January 1st, and he did a collab with Peter McKinnon.
Oh, okay.
And if you look at Cody's, so you can go on like Social Blade and see like people's metrics. You can see after that collab, he shot up. And so it was but it took him 192 vlogs to collab. He had to put in the work, he had to put in the effort. And I kind of sampled some of his vlogs, and you can see that progression over time until he got to the point where he's like, hey, Peter, let's do a video together. Peter said, okay. Like, you got to earn that. Like,
right.
But again, it comes back to the work that you're putting in, because that work has to speak for itself. If you want to collab with someone else, if you want to work with someone else, and for them to tell their audience, like, this guy is worth checking out. That's how I found. Well, actually, it was through another YouTuber, but they said, look at this guy. I love his hustle and his work. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go check him out. Checked out his channel, fell in love. And it was because I followed a YouTuber who commanded my respect, and when he recommends something, I was like, I want to check that out. And sure enough, there it was. And I found that Cody is a great vlogger, and I've been watching his vlogs as a source of inspiration too. Yeah, that's
awesome. And those are definitely one of the two things that stuck out was the search engine part, and then also the collaborations. And for someone even particular in my situation, being able to create something that is searchable, because YouTube is the second largest search engine, second to Google, because Google's first, and then it would be YouTube. So, creating something, I know, like in our space, being able to create something that people are searching and have the ability to be discovered is also definitely valuable. And then the collaborations, it's huge. Number one, I love collaborating in general. I love the kind of cross paths and kind of create something together and do something that not a lot of people do, because I feel like collaborations are definitely fun to do, and it's just a great experience. And to your point of like when that vlogger got a chance to get in contact with Peter McKinnon, it's almost even similar to like this. Like right now, the channel's smaller right now, but we've been cranking out episode after episode, and eventually we may have that big time guest that comes on and that everybody knows, and then that's the the big break that we're looking for. And then even someone similar for you, we're both chasing that big break eventually, but we're putting in the necessary work that we have passion for, we love, and we stay consistent to it, and eventually those great results are going to come. So and getting closer to wrapping up, what are maybe some wrapping up maybe as far as like good advice that you would maybe give a vlogger that's just starting out? I know you gave some good tips throughout, but what's maybe like the number one thing you would maybe drive home that if somebody wanted to get started?
Don't worry about the metrics. Like those are vanity metrics. In the long run, they don't matter, right? Again, it goes back to the work, because if you get caught up worrying about not enough people are watching, no one cares, you don't need that negativity in you, because that will show through your work. And that did happen. Like after Milo came, like our newest baby came along, I was tired, exhausted, like I was trying to edit these vlogs at night, and that self-doubt creeps in, and looking back at some of those vlogs, I could see that creeping in, that little bit of negativity. And I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that in the work because it doesn't help anyone, right? Like I said, I don't like complainers because it doesn't solve the solution, right?
Right.
And so don't worry about that. Yes, people aren't going to care at first, but that's okay because you can experiment, you can learn, you can grow. Like I gave myself the grace, the permission to fail. Originally, I was like, I'm going to do 100 vlogs, and every day I'm going to send it out, and I don't care if I hate it or not, it's going out. I've also extended that a little bit past because like it got to the point where I was like, some vlogs, I'm like, I'm not excited about this, but I got to stick to my commitment of doing this every day. I tried to make it my best. Maybe it's not my favorite vlog, but you got to send it out. So don't worry about those numbers because your time will come, because as you dive more and more into it, you do become better. You do learn those skills. You do make those connections, and the pieces will come together. You're not going to make it. YouTube is so hard to make it. Like, I don't even know if my goal is to make it on YouTube. You know, maybe it's a piece for the rest of my career. I don't know yet. But I know when I started this, yes, I'm going to be doing this for a year, but this whole thing, like if I really wanted to make a go at it, this is probably like a 3 to 5, maybe not 3 to 5 years of daily vlogging, but 3 to 5 year commitment, 7-year commitment, 10-year commitment. Like, this isn't just a 1 year and I'm going to be at, 1 million subscribers. This is a long-term thing. Like Casey Neistat took, I forget how many years to even just get to a million, and he was posting pretty regularly. You look at all these YouTubers, they put in a ton of work to get to where they are. So focus on the work, focus on your process, focus on learning and getting better. And that's it at first. That's it. Don't worry about the subscribers. Don't let that bring you down. Turn it off if you want. You can turn off your number of subscribers so you don't see it. Just turn it off. Don't worry about it. Because it's going to show through your work.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely some good advice there. And then as far as like the future goes, and I know you touched on it a little bit, but kind of digging in a little bit more. What is the big picture? What is the big goal? Where do you see this going in maybe like the next 2 to 5 years? I've mulled it over, and I don't know. And I used to be like, I used to set long-term goals, and I've kind of stopped doing that after leaving my career and whatnot. This just like turned off. Oh no, I don't think
okay.
it's still recorded.
Okay.
So yeah, I thought so too. I got
I saw your mind.
I got a little panic. Like what?
I was like, oh no.
You guys can't see that, but yeah. We're good.
We're good. So I used to set long-term goals. I remember when I left my job, I was like, oh, in the first year I'm going to achieve this, and then I'm going to do that. You change so much. Like, the work changes you. So for me, I'm going to reassess in a year. Like, my first commitment was do this for a year. Do 365 days of vlogging. So that'll be the day before my 29th birthday. That's scary. Wait, your birthday?
So funny. By the time this episode comes out, my 30th birthday will probably just pass.
Nice. Well, happy birthday.
September 27th. Yeah.
So happy birthday.
Appreciate that.
Like right before my 29th birthday, I will reassess. I'll say, do I want to continue the daily vlogging style? Do I want to do a weekly? Do I want to? I know I will be at the point where I'm probably not going to give up. I probably won't quit. I will continue in some way. My secret ambition is to do 535, do one more than Casey did.
Okay.
And just so I can say I did it. Maybe that's an ego thing. The next jump, I've thought in my mind, like, what would happen if you did 1,000? Like 1,000 straight days. That's a lot. That's That's almost 3 years. I don't know. I'm a very numbers guy. Like, I wouldn't want to stop randomly at 413. Like, I would want it to be significant in some way. But I'm just going to keep reassessing and see where I go. I love this so much that I enjoy this process so much. I will be up at 1:30 in the morning, tired. I want to go to bed, but I'm like, this is so much fun. Like, this is so cool what I get to do. And I'm doing it because I wanted to do it, right? And so as long as I have that feeling, as long as I'm enjoying the process and working, and eventually I want to do more collaborations. I want to meet other YouTubers. I want to do all that stuff and just see where it goes. The goal at the end, right now, the goal is 365, see what opportunities are there, and then just follow where I go.
That's awesome.
that's it.
That's awesome. Well, I definitely want to collaborate in the future for sure.
Yes.
We're doing it now, but more also. And then last two questions. Where is the best place for people to contact with you? Obviously YouTube, but maybe some other social media channels. And then the last question is, what's a 24-hour challenge that you would propose to the audience that they can actually take action on within the next 24 hours. So
really
like through the course of this episode, we gave out a lot of good information, a lot of good tips. Like, what's the challenge so that they can actually take action on it? So number one, where's the best place to contact you, and then the challenge?
Best place would be, well, as obviously YouTube channel. Go over there, subscribe if you want. I know some people are always just like, oh yeah, subscribe. Poke around, see if it interests you. And again, subscribing, YouTube has changed their algorithm a lot, that the subscribe isn't as important. They're not, if you subscribe to a channel, they're not always going to throw that channel in front of you.
It's more the likes.
It's more of the, it's more of what you're interested in, what you're watching. So if you want, you can subscribe. That way you might be able to catch a vlog here and there. Twitter's probably the best place. So it's at Declan_Wilson_. That's my favorite platform, my favorite social media platform. 24-hour challenge. Oh my gosh. Let's do no complaining, no excuses. Go a whole day without making excuses or complaining about the situation, and just focus on overcoming whatever that situation is. Because that's all daily vlogging is. That's all parenting is. That's all building a business is finding those solutions. Because complaints and excuses don't get the job done.
No, I totally agree with you. Well, I definitely appreciate you for being on the show. Definitely should do this again in the future.
Yes.
Whenever we get to that milestone episode.
Let's do.
Because this will be like a little time capsule.
Yeah, right.
Like
we'll see what happened. Yeah.
Exactly, and kind of do like a little recap and say, kind of do like a little catch up and see where you are at the process. So I definitely look forward to where you're going in the future, and then you hitting that milestone. So I think it'll be awesome.
And best of luck to you on your endeavors here.
I appreciate it. So so now that we know what Declan does with his 24 hours, definitely make sure you comment down below if you got any questions at all as far as vlogging goes, any vlogging tips, advice that you may have for Declan. Definitely make sure you comment down below. We do engage in the comment section, so definitely make sure you do that down below. Definitely make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, and we will see you on the next episode.